Hello lovelies, I'm Cameron and welcome to my channel and to my office. I'm so happy you're here today and I'm really excited for today's video. I think it's something that we all need to dive in and look into a little bit more. It's all about the expiration dates on all of our beauty products. I'd like to think, and my understanding is that it's fairly common knowledge that all of our products have expiration dates. I think we're all aware of that, at least to some extent. Now whether we abide by that or not and actually follow along with the expiration dates is a whole other story. Like, I'm pretty sure all of us, you and me, here today and forever, are using multiple expired products. It's okay. It's our dirty, very dirty little secret. That's okay. We're all okay. We're not just gonna spontaneously combust now that we found out that we're using expired products. When we think about getting all cute and beautified with our products, I also want us to start simultaneously thinking about the safety of the products and the health of our skin. So today I want to walk through the general guidelines for each type of makeup product and what the typical shelf life is and what that means for the products you have and how you use them. Before we dive into that just yet, I want to highlight a few things, and the first being why even have this conversation in the first place and what's the importance of knowing that our products are expired and why not use them. The short answer is that cosmetics love bad bacteria and our skin hates it, so it's not really a good pairing. So the more we use contaminated and expired products, the more we run the risk of skin irritation. That means inflammation and redness. That means breakouts. That means clogged pores. And for our eyes, that could mean infections like styes and pink eye. No bueno. Another quick thing, and something you can actually play along with at home, find the nearest beauty product to you. Once you've got it, look at the bottle itself and find the PAO. What's a PAO, Cam? PAO stands for period after opening, and that's usually indicated on your products by a little tiny icon. If it's not on the actual bottle itself, it'll be probably on the packaging that it comes in. And you've probably seen it before and been like, what does this mean? It's a little tiny cream jar icon that's open, and in the icon it'll have a number and the letter M next to it. That stands for the amount of months that it's good for after you actually open the product. This is important because you could have a product still in all of its original packaging, completely unopened for 6 months, a year, however long, and it's still good, but as soon as you open it, that's when you need to pay attention to the length of time that you use it and make sure that you're using it within the PAO. Last thing, before we actually get to it, is some of the telltale signs that you just need to get rid of your product. Don't even pay attention to the PAO or anything else, just please rid yourself of this product. If the formula starts to separate, like for a foundation or a liquid highlighter or even a nail polish, that's one telltale sign. If it starts to smell weird, if it never smelled in the first place or it had a pleasant scent and now it just smells a little bit sour or just off, get rid of it. If you're using an eye product that's extra dry, maybe it's a liner, maybe it's a mascara, if it's dry or if you wear it and it flakes more easily than it first did, that's how you know it's not lasting as long and you should just get rid of it, because it runs the risk of flaking off into your eyeballs. Not good. Or if the color of the product has changed since you first bought it, that's a telltale sign that it's most likely oxidized, meaning too much air has gotten to the product itself and it's just changing its structure, its efficacy, everything about it. You want to get rid of it, especially if it's foundation and it's like 2 shades darker than when you first bought it. One, it's not going to match you and it's just not going to be as good for your skin and it's not going to get the job done the way you want it to. Keep that in mind for fragrances as well. Maybe you started out with something that was clear in a clear bottle and now it's like an amber orange color. No bueno. The last thing before we get to it, just keep in mind that these are general recommendations. If you were to Google makeup expiration dates or foundation expiration dates or whatever that looks like, you'll find variations, but this is what consistently people are saying and this is what you should be paying attention to. But more importantly, I think you should look at the PAO, the little icon on the actual bottle or the product that you have itself, because that date, that number, that amount of time is specific to that product itself based on the ingredients, the formulation, the packaging, the storage. All of those things are specific to that product and you want to keep that in mind instead of just going off of the general rule of thumb. Okay, first up, foundation. This is specifically for cream and liquid formulations. They're good for 6 to 12 months. A really important note here, if you're using a foundation that has any sort of skincare element in it, that's typically an active ingredient like SPF for sun protection, retinol for anti-aging, salicylic acid for acne-prone skin, hyaluronic acid for hydration, those will all become less effective over time. So that's when the PAO specific to that product is very important. Next up, we have cream blush and multi-sticks. These will typically be good for 12 to 18 months. PSA to my Glossier Cloud Paint fans, the PAO on this is 6 months. I've had this for over a year. Next up, powders. This includes loose and pressed setting powder, blush, bronzer, eyeshadow, powders. These products are going to last you the longest, especially if they come in a compact. Think the less moisture in a product, the longer it's going to last you. Now onto brow and kohl eyeliner pencils. These are good for about a year. They usually last a little bit longer than most eye products because you sharpen them often and you get a fresh use each time. For mascara, it's recommended to replace every 3 months. It probably has the shortest expiry period because of the contact it has with your eyes, and your eyes are so sensitive and so susceptible to any sort of inflammation, and that's the place you really want to keep safe. Whether you use L'Oreal or Chanel, this is one that I recommend really paying attention to because you just don't want to mess with your eyes like that, and you can tell that the formula gets worse over time. It gets dry and clumpy, and that's not cute. For liquid eyeliner, it follows basically the same guidelines as mascara, so it's around 3 to 4 months before you should replace it. If you have one that you use often or you just really love that you've had for more than 3 months, you'll be okay. Just make sure to store it well. Make sure to store it upside down so that the liquid is flowing toward the tip of it so that it stays fresh and juicy for as long as possible. For gel eyeliner, the ones that come in a pot that you need to use a brush to apply, these seem to have the shortest life of around 2 to 3 months. I have actually some tips that I'll share with you at the very end of ways to keep it clean and last you a little bit longer. For your lip products like lipstick, lip liner, lip gloss, these are all going to be good for about a year. This one hits different. It's hitting me a little bit harder right now because I know, without a doubt, that I have plenty of lipsticks and lip glosses that are at least a year old. Some of them I'm sure are decrepit, I know. It's hard when you like to experiment with lip colors and it seems like a lipstick tube will last you forever because you think it does. Clearly not the case. So now's the time to go through your lipsticks, maybe do some swatches on your hand and see if the texture is off in any of them, because that's again the telltale sign. Get rid of it. Do the same for your glosses, and I know that I'm probably one of the worst offenders because I just found this 10-year-old lip gloss. This is a MAC lip gloss that I got my sophomore year of high school, which was 10 years ago. Holy cannoli. It was my homecoming special occasion gloss that I kept with me because I didn't wear it often. It was a little too glossy for me at the time, but it was a beautiful color and I felt awesome, and it was always a good way to pick me up. She's nasty now. She's a nasty girl and she's gotta go. And now, a moment of silence for that lip gloss. R.I.P. Enchantress. You were so loved. For nail polish, that's going to be good for about 1 to 2 years after opening. Especially if you keep your nail polish out, direct sunlight completely destroys the formula and separates it. So if your nail polish is separated, or if it's really thick and goopy, or if you can't even open the bottle, just let her go. Just let her go. It's time. The last category that I'm happy to end on because it's a high note is fragrance, and it'll be good for 8 to 10 years. Hallelujah, praise the Lord. This is another product that you definitely want to keep out of the sun. Heat and light are just not good for these kind of formulas. If you start out with a formula that's light, maybe it's clear, maybe it's a light cream color, and it turns yellow or orange, it's gone bad, it's not as good, and it's really, really sucky when you have a very expensive fragrance. And if not, I love me a Victoria's Secret mist. That wraps up the general recommendations for shelf life of the general categories of makeup products. So those are things to keep in mind as you use your products, but I want to share some of my own recommendations and tips from the industry and from personal use that will help with safety and longevity. These are good for any of your current products, but especially for any new products that you get. First up, and really quickly, I've mentioned it before, but I really want to drive it home, is that your skincare expires as well. Makeup wipes included, so get in the habit of looking for the PAO, the period after opening, the little symbol that shows you how long it's good for, and really trying to abide by that. Number 2, and probably most importantly, because I think it has the biggest impact on us personally and each other environmentally, is just buy less stuff and take your time and be intentional about what you do buy and use it up. I know that's especially hard for my fellow beauty enthusiasts, lovers, hoarders, addicts, whatever we want to call ourselves, because we like to have options, we like to play around with things, we like to experiment, and companies and brands are just coming out with new stuff all of the time. So we want to keep up with it, we want to try the new things, we want to experiment again, we just want to have fun with the things. And there's always so much of it, and it's empowering to be able to buy these things for ourselves. It makes us feel good. But in the long run, when you have 10 concealers or foundations or lipsticks because you're trying things out and maybe didn't return it or whatever it is, it's just not doing us really any good. It can be very expensive. It can take up a lot of space. It also can be confusing to our skin, especially if you experiment more with skincare and you don't really stick to things. Then you end up just having a lot of products, half used, barely even used, and if you want to go back and use it again 6 months to a year later, it's not going to be as effective and you're not doing yourself any favors. So I think the best practice we can get in the habit of is, again, being more intentional with the purchases that we make, doing our research, maybe asking our friends what they're using, look at our favorite influencers, YouTubers, whoever it is that we look up to, or people whose opinions we value, or just being more strategic about how we experiment ourselves, and then zeroing in on the products that we're excited about and actually using them up. So what could help is just finding products that are more versatile, maybe multi-use colors and sticks and things like that, so that it doesn't feel dull doing the same look all the time. Ultimately, it's just better for our wallets, our faces, and the planet. Third, and also very, very important, is sanitation. I think now, more than ever, with the global pandemic that we're going through, sanitation is so important, not just in our day-to-day lives, but especially with makeup, and especially if the beauty industry ever wants to get back to normal again or just functioning, this is going to be integral. And I think the sooner we can implement certain practices on ourselves at home, the easier it's going to be for everybody going forward. I'm going to recommend some tools for you real quick. First up, alcohol. It's a little hard to find right now, and understandably so, I guess, but if you're able to find 70% rubbing or isopropyl alcohol, you're good to go. And even better, if you have or are able to find a small little travel spray bottle that's also available at the drugstore and basically everywhere, this will be so convenient to have at your desk and in your makeup bag wherever you go. It's important that you use 70% alcohol because if you use anything with a higher percentage, it will evaporate or dry faster than it actually is able to kill the bacteria. 70% is the perfect amount. This is key to makeup cleanliness and longevity. Any makeup artist will tell you. This is especially great for your powder products like your eyeshadow palettes, your blushes, bronzers, things that you've probably had for a while that take you a while to actually get through. Spritz them with some alcohol, not too close, at least 6 inches away maybe, every so often just to kind of refresh and give you a new fresh layer. Also, if you happen to notice a weird film or layer on top of your powder products, that actually is a buildup of oils and other products from your skin. It's not only transferring powder from the brush to your face, it's taking whatever's on your face to the brush to the powder itself. So what you want to do to get rid of that buildup is either use a butter knife, it's not going to make it super cute, something that you can scrape that layer off of, and then just spritz with some alcohol and you have a fresh, clean layer for yourself. Alcohol is also really useful to sanitize any of your multi-sticks, especially if it has a little bit of a thicker texture. Anything that's colorful that goes on the cheeks, the lips, the eyes, you just want to spritz it really quickly and then wipe with a tissue and then you're good to go. It's also great for eye pencils just to spritz before and after you sharpen. And it's really great to spritz on your makeup brushes as well. Again, far away, you don't want to saturate it too heavily, but just to sanitize and get rid of the bacteria that's sitting on top. Another tool that I highly recommend that you may have seen makeup artists use is a little spatula like this. You can find them online, especially at beauty supplies. They're really helpful for depotting and decanting products. Think of any of your makeup or skincare products that come in a jar. Some actually already come with their own spatula, which is heaven sent, but if they don't, use a tool like this, or even the bottom of your tweezers even, as long as you spray with alcohol before you use it. It's great to grab product out of jars to get the right amount that you need without ever having to use your fingers directly into the pot, which without a doubt always contaminate and just shorten the shelf life. You just want to make sure it's clean and sanitized before and after each use, because if the tool itself is dirty, then you're basically just negating the whole thing. Then you can use it to apply the product directly wherever you need to, either to the back of your hand if you need to use it as a palette, maybe it's a gel eyeliner and you want to use your brush and just go in. That way you have whatever you need outside of the pot itself, and again, you're just not getting it yucky. The fourth thing is storage. How and where you store your products. I've mentioned it before, but I really want to hit on it again, especially now that shelfies are a thing and packaging has become really cute and aesthetically pleasing. We're almost using our beauty products as decor, and I get it. We put it on display on top of our dressers, on our bathroom counters, our desks, our nightstands, wherever we can, so we can see it in all its cuteness, especially if it's more of a luxury brand and we really want to just enjoy every ounce of it. But with most products, if they're not stored in the proper conditions, you're just making things worse. So for just about everything, but specifically for foundation and fragrance and skincare, basically anything that comes in a clear bottle that's sensitive to light, store in a cool, dark, dry place. And make sure your tops are sealed nice and tightly, and I promise this will help to preserve your products. The fifth and final thing before we go, and I know it's drilled so heavily into everybody's brains right now, but it's so important, especially when it comes to our own makeup products and our own faces, is to wash your hands. before you wash your face, before you sit down to do your makeup. Maybe you're on the go. If you're able to be on the go and you're doing your makeup, have hand sanitizer on you. Just make sure your hands are clean before you touch your face in any capacity. It's pretty straightforward and self-explanatory at this point, but it really is just to ensure that any bacteria that's on your hands doesn't make it directly to your face, or even worse, into your actual products and just make them worse over time. And that's all I got. I know it seems like a lot, because it is. I share all of this with you and with myself as a reminder and just as some guidelines to keep in mind so that we're keeping ourselves and our products as safe and healthy as possible. We're worth it. All of this also doesn't mean to just go to your beauty stash and start getting rid of stuff that you know is expired. However, I do think if you're able to afford to do so, please do. And if not, cherish the products that you have, use them up, and as long as they're not harming you or they're not making you uncomfortable, irritating your skin, use them until you can't. Okay, we have a passionate man outside right now. Makeup is expensive, and a lot of us have emotional connections to it. I totally understand if maybe you were holding on to that one MAC lip gloss from sophomore year because it was your special occasion lip gloss. At me. Or maybe you still have your first red lipstick, or maybe you just don't have a lot of makeup, don't wear it that often, and you have a foundation from 3 years ago. I highly recommend, if you can, start over and just be more mindful about it. All that said, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I so greatly appreciate you. As always, I'm here if you have any questions, especially if you want to get nitty-gritty about all of the ingredients and things like that. I'm especially down for it because I've just been having a field day nerding out about it all. I really just think the industry oversells, and in turn we underuse, and it's just not fair. I just think the better informed and more mindful we are, the better off we are. So let's have that conversation in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Love you.